Okay, so one of the trickiest things when you do a build or an engine conversion or you do some upgrades is plumbing everything. And also wiring. Wiring is also related to this. Now this is a Subaru engine. I've upgraded to top feed rails, so they're just there. And I just changed the plugs over on the loom. So I've got plugs for my injectors. And there's a rail there, there's a rail there. The fuel comes out over here and then the return is over there. There used to be a fuel filter here. I've deleted that because we're going E85. Have to use a special kind of filter. And so in order to plumb everything, I needed to make sure I worked out where it was or where it's going to go. So some people do what's called, what do they call it? A split feed. So the feed comes in as a single, they split it off, one goes to this side, one goes to that side, then the returns come in, they meet, then they go to the fuel pressure regulator and then back to the tank. I'm not doing that, not making enough horsepower to need it. But so because I know where my fuel rails are, I've joined this one, I've already made the hose to this one here. The hose comes under here, all the way under here, and then you can just see the silver fitting under there. So that's that. The next thing I did was I situated my fuel pressure regulator. So I think that's going to go there. Now, I've also got a flex fuel sensor. So this needs to go between the fuel pressure regulator and the return from either of the fuel rails. So if I'm going from the feed, I need to go through the filter, which is just down there at the moment. Let's see if I can show you it. Just there, that black thing dangling down. Just there. So that's the feed. It's either going to go to this side, through here, through here, through here, and then that's going to come out through the flex fuel sensor and then through the fuel pressure regulator and then back to the tank. Or the feed's going to come here, around here, through here, out this side, again through this, then through to the fuel pressure regulator and out to the back. Now you can put this on the feed line. I'm just going to put it on the return just because we want very little, as little restrictions, even though all the fittings, oh no, yeah, look, there's a bit of a, yeah, there's a little bit of a restriction-y type thing. So I'm going to put that on the return either way. Now, my fuel pressure regulator does have a gauge on it, but what I did on my Cresta was I had an electronic, I didn't have one of those gauges, I had an electronic fuel pressure gauge, and so that I have managed to fit down here. So that's that there. I'll see if I can show you what I did here. If I can get past this bicycle. So you see the black fittings down here? That's the end of the rail. This is like a banjo fitting. And then I've got a special fitting there that the sensor's plugged into. And then I've got a hose end for now. So what I need to work out is, let's say we're going to put this here. Just to dummy fit it without it falling off. Okay, so we're going to put that there for now. So we can actually go from this hose fitting here with a hose over to here. And then we can go from here to this fitting on the fuel pressure regulator. And then the fuel pressure regulator has a hose, here it is, here. And then that can go through to the return. And then the feed, which is down here, can go from here straight into this rail, through here, round here, through there, up there, across there, and to my fuel pressure regulator. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, the reason why you have to get these things situated is because, for example, I bought some straight fittings for this, and with a straight fitting, it comes out to here and it comes out to here, which is less than ideal because your straight fitting comes out to here and then you've got to make this hose bend all the way over here. Ideally, what we would have is a right angle and have the hose coming sort of this way. And then this one, we might have like a 120 degree fitting. So, you know, a little bit like that, pointing over to here. And here we might have another 120 degree fitting. So that can go for a straight shot through to there. So that's not set in stone yet as to how I'm going to plumb it. But I went and bought a bunch of fittings, and some I got wrong. You're always going to get some wrong, trust me. And I've got to do another order for some more fittings because like we don't have a 270 for over there. I might not even put the flex fuel sensor over there, you know. We could stash it. I mean, who knows? There might even be right angle versions of these. These are like a quick release, so it goes, every fitting goes from one thing to another. So, and one of the tricks is you don't have to use AN stuff for everything. And I'll give you an example, right? So we've used AN here, AN fitting, bit of line, AN fitting. Let's call that a $50 hose, right? $50 hose. The good thing about AN stuff is you can quickly make a right angle very easily. But if we take a look, I'll pull this out. It'll come out. So Subaru from factory just uses normal hose and barbs with clamps on it. And until you're at like, let's say 80 PSI fuel pressure, that's fine. So what I've done is I got my fuel filter and I actually put a barb fitting on one end so that the factory feed will go in this end. And then I've got an AN side on this side. So it can go, we'll just use the return line, but it can go like so. It can go from the factory Subaru stuff into the fuel filter and then AN off to my fuel rail, or you know, I've got my electronic fuel pressure sensor here, or it can go to the flex sensor, whatever. So, you know, you can kind of cheat a little bit. I had some fuel rails that I bought, and all they had, that's how I got this barb, was it just had barbs on either end. So if you're like strapped for cash, you don't need to use AN fittings for everything. Sure, it looks cool, but like for the rest of the fittings I need, it's at least going to be $100, if not more. If I could get away with it just using barbs and hoses, it's, you know, a quarter of the price. On the Cresta, the hard line, I'll show you what I used, if I can get to them. Where are they? Yep. So this is my box of leftover fittings, etc., of various types. This is all stuff that I've bought that I either replaced because I never ended up using it, or I bought the wrong thing. Okay, so these here, right? So these are, I got these from a hose shop, and this, what this is it's a nut and an olive, a compression olive, and this bit slides over your hose, and when you do up the nut, it compresses that olive and seals it onto the metal pipe, and then that gives you a barb to put your hose onto. Now, why don't I just put the hose straight on the metal pipe? Well, it's got no, with the barb, it's got these shoulders that'll stop the hose from coming off. But if you, and some people do that, they just put a a rubber hose onto the metal hard line. But the correct way to do it is with a barb, because the fuel pressure won't work the hose off a barb because of these shoulders. So you put your barb on your metal line, put your rubber hose on, put a clamp on it, and then Bob's your uncle, you're away. So I guess the moral of the story is you don't need to use AN fittings for everything. It is nice to have them in certain places. I've got purple ones on the other car. They were even more expensive than black or silver. And also get things situated. Also, like these intercooler pipes and stuff, like if I didn't have these sort of sitting in the way, I wouldn't know that I could put my fuel pressure regulator gauge there. So yeah, also, just to note, shout out to Chris O's Customs. This is a CNC lid that he makes for expansion tanks. It's about 200 Australian dollars, which is about 50 cents US. This is my own Apexy cap, but it comes with a brand new cap, comes with a brand new seal. So if your hoses and stuff on the top here are rusted, it comes with these billet fittings. And it's great, looks good, does the job. So Chris O's Customs, expansion tank lid. I mean, this one's for GC8, but it'll work with GD, etc. But yeah, if you found that helpful, leave us a like. If you have any questions, ask them below, and why not click subscribe if you want even more of these crappy yet helpful videos. Thank you for watching.